Like, it's cold out here. I don't think we're gonna go inside.
All
right, good morning, everybody. Happy New Year. It is January 18th, 2023. But it's the first time I've gotten that right this week of not giving the wrong year. I call the annual meeting of the City of Hudson IDA to order. We have a lot to get through today. I will try to go through it as expeditiously as possible, but before we get started, I want to welcome Mr. Randall Martin, who effectively as of last night was appointed by the City Council to sit in the City Chair of the Planning Board's place, Ms. Joyner. Mr. Martin, you took the oath of office this morning at City Hall, correct?
I did indeed.
Excellent. Welcome. We're glad to have you.
Thank you very much.
All right. So with that, everybody that's here in the room and for those online, we are starting with the extra thick packet first to start. So the first thing that I need to go through is our attendance call. So Mrs. Jerusha, please.
Kamal Johnson.
Present.
Heather Campbell. Absent. Cheryl Kazluka. Absent. Dominic Moranti.
Here.
Ryan Wallace.
Present.
Randall Martin.
Here.
Richard Wallace.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Excellent. Also present today with us, we have Mr. Tucker from the CEDC, Chris Shaw, our attorney, and Ms. Gabriel, our lead for the Hudson IDA through the CEDC, and without whom we would not have gotten a lot done last year. So thank you, Jess.
Thank you.
All right, I need a motion and a second to accept the resolution for appointing officers for the City of Hudson IDA, making committee appointments and designating the official newspaper and meeting dates.
And of course, you'll have to fill in the, nominate the appointments for those various.
Yes.
steps.
Motion? Second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Well, now we're going to go through and do our,
Okay, well, you need to do the appointments and fill in the blanks before you.
oh, I thought we were able to do,
There's
accept the resolution,
blanks.
then go back.
No, but there's blanks in the resolution in here.
Oh, the resolution itself. All right.
Yes.
I want to start with nominations for chair for the City of Hudson IDA.
Okay, I'd like to nominate Ryan Wallace.
Second that.
You guys are punishing me, man. Second year in a row, I accept. Any other nominations? All right, Chris will call one on each.
I think if the board would like to conduct the nominations.
Sorry, over the train.
If you want to just conduct the nominations.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
That's fine,
Um,
without objection.
nomination for vice chair. I'm going to toss it up this year. Ready? You need an appointment on something, sir. Would you be willing to?
Sure.
I'd like to nominate Dominic then.
I'll second that nomination.
Good morning, Linda. All right. Any other nominations for vice chair? All right. Nominations for secretary. Mr. Martin, would you? Okay, I don't blame you on that one. It's okay. Mr. Wallace, can we count on you to continue in the role of secretary?
You can.
All right, I'd like to nominate you formally, please. Second.
Second.
All right. And I don't know whether it's a blessing or a curse to be able to do it for her while she's not here today, but I'd like to nominate Heather Campbell for the role of treasurer.
Second.
Excellent. All right, so for chair, we have myself, vice chair, Mr. Moranti, secretary, Mr. Wallace, no relation, and for treasurer, Ms. Campbell. All right. Motion and a second to accept that our address shall be for City Hall, 520 Warren Street.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right. Meeting address will be here at Hudson City Center. Chris, do we need to denote in the offices of CEDC with the suite number or no?
It says suite 301, so.
Anything else, though?
You mean the
Like-
address of the building?
Well, no, like Columbia Economic Development.
Recognize.
Yeah, recognizing that it's here.
We can certainly do that, offices of CEDC, or just CEDC.
Okay.
Sure.
Can I get a motion and a second to accept that amendment?
Next motion?
Second.
Excellent. All right, so all those in favor that we continue to meet in this wonderful location, which thank you, Mike and Jessica again.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, further resolving, motion and a second that we will conduct these on Zoom for members of the public.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Chris, do we need to readopt our video conferencing policy? That was one question I had for you at
I
this
do
point.
not think so. I don't think that's one that has to be readopted every year. The ethics and things like that. you need to
That'll
review
continue.
No, but like, right, but like you have to re-examine things like your ethics policy and your procurement policy as a matter of your annual requirements. But that one will just carry forward unless you decide to amend it.
Perfect, okay. Further resolving that our meetings will be the first Wednesday of the month. The reason we didn't have the first Wednesday of this month is because we needed to get through city hall appointments and whatnot, but they'll be the first Wednesday of the month here at 9:30 a.m. Does this time still work for the members of this board? Does anybody want earlier? Would anybody like to change to the afternoon? All right, great. Motion in a second, please.
Motion? Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Now, appointing for our committees. Mr. Roosh, do you happen to have the list of who specifically we had for last year? If not, it's okay. Oh, perfect. So while she's pulling that up, we need 3 members for each governance, audit, and our finance committees. With that, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to nominate you for governance again, as we did last year. And I'll throw my own hat into that ring. Gentlemen, could I ask Mr. Wallace and Mr. Martin if you'd like to join us on the governance committee? Sure. All right, Mr. Martin, excellent. So I'd like to put the 3 of us forward for governance committee. Do we need motions and seconds on that, Chris?
We're gonna do, if you want to
Hold it to
make
the
the
end.
nominations and then adopt this whole resolution with all
exactly.
of those completed.
Perfect. All right, so we'll go for those 3. For our audit committee,
Last year, do you want to know last year?
yeah, last year's,
So yourself as minority leader, planning board member was Teresa, and then there was a David.
oh, yeah, that's right. You want to join audit?
Sure.
All right, I'd like to nominate Mr. Moranti, Mr. Martin. Okay, I'll go with it. So the 3 of us.
And could I just ask you, as you're doing this, to consider the chair for each one of those so that we make sure we have a chair for each of those committees?
I'm happy to chair governance. Either gentleman have a preference chairing audit? No, so for audit, it'll be the 3 of us.
I'm new, so.
All right, but I'm gonna put the chair
Yeah, then I'll-
pressure on you.
Sure.
Perfect. All right, and then we have our finance committee, which I will gladly nominate Heather as the chair for and as a lead member on that. Mr. Mayor and Mr. Wallace. The finance. Okay. Perfect. We are also going to be resolving that we're designating the Register Star as the official newspaper of the agency. And with that, can we get a full motion in a second? Do we need to read anything over again, Chris, or can we now do this in totality?
Yeah, I think you can.
All right.
Any questions?
Any questions from members? All right, so with that, Mr. Hushik, roll call vote, please.
Kamal Johnson,
Aye.
Heather Campbell, absent. Cheryl Chesler, absent. Dominic Moranti,
Aye.
Ryan Wallace,
Aye.
Randall Martin,
Aye.
Richard Wallace.
Aye.
Passed.
All right. That was the biggest one that we had. Okay, suspend now and then the housekeeping? Housekeeping first. All right, so on page, anybody following along online, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The start of page 6 for your PDFs online. For anybody that's in the room, we are on Page 6, although it has a number 1 at the bottom. I need a motion and a second to accept the annual housekeeping resolution.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Actually, I believe we need a roll call on this one. Correct, Chris? Yeah. Sorry, Lisa.
You're going too fast. Jamal Johnson,
Aye.
Heather Campbell, Cheryl Kazuga, those are absent. Dominic Moranti,
Aye.
Brian Wallace,
Aye.
Randall Martin.
Aye.
Richard Wallace.
Aye.
Oh, it passed. Sorry.
Okay. All right, I'd like a motion and a second to suspend the regular meeting and proceed going into the meeting of the audit committee.
I'll make that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So with our audit committee, I know I'm flying 90 miles an hour here. Mr. Who should reread us back? The members, it's the mayor, myself, Mr. Randall. Oh, no, sorry, wait, I'm in the wrong one. That's right, wait. Audit, governance, finance, that's how we'll do it.
The middle three.
All right, gentlemen, have at it. So first order of business is I need you to
Call the meeting order.
call the meeting to order.
This is the call meeting order for the audit committee.
Confirmation of your audit chair, which is you.
Okay, yeah, I need to get a motion for confirmation of the chair. person. I'll get that Motion. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Pass.
All right, I was gonna say we are in favor.
Okay.
Now, within our documentation here, we have our charter. So for those following along online in the audit committee packet, it starts on 1, 2, 3, page 4. You can review the charter. Any questions on the charter from members of the audit committee? No? All right,
Motion to accept it.
a motion and a second. to accept.
Can I get a motion to accept the charter as written?
A motion?
So second. All in favor?
Aye. And nice motion and second to, for the audit committee to discharge the duties from
Okay.
2022.
Can I get a motion for the audit committee to discharge duties for 2022? Second.
Motion, second, and then all in
All
favor?
in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
You need 2 minutes.
Yeah, and then so now a motion to accept the minutes for the audit committee.
Can I get a motion to accept the minutes for the audit committee?
A motion?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Point of order, I guess. Did the board already approve an auditor for this coming year? Is that something that has already been done?
We did review
We
that.
did do that.
It was in the summer of last year. It was to
Yeah.
continue with UYH.
No,
whoever's-
no, we have, you have RBT.
Oh, that's right, RBT. Yeah,
I'll double check while you're talking.
I believe we did that in
I
summer.
thought he sent a December, I thought he sent the follow-up. Well, why don't you keep going and all that?
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just gonna suggest that you attend to that at the February meeting and have an audit committee meeting in February before, I mean, if you haven't, you need to attend to that, okay? Thank you.
Yeah, may I have a motion to adjourn out of the audit committee? Second.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
All right. All right, so now going back to the regular meeting, I'd like a motion and a second to suspend the regular meeting to go into the annual governance committee meeting on the agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, governance committee. Election of committee chair. Rock, paper, scissors.
I thought we already accepted it.
I'll accept, yeah. So motion and a second to formally accept myself as committee chair for governance.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, sir. Second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I need a motion and a second, please, to accept the minutes from the March 17th, 2022 meeting. Place them on file.
I'll make a motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. On page 3 of the governance committee docket, for everybody that's following along online, you'll find a copy of the governance committee charter. Gentlemen, a motion and a second, please, to accept the governance committee charter.
I'll make that motion.
Motion,
Second.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Gentlemen, I also need a motion and a second to accept and place on file the 2023 compliance calendar that's included in this document.
Make that motion.
Motion,
Second.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Gentlemen, third order of business here is the accepting and placing on file the 2022 discharge duties of the governance committee for the Hudson IDA. Motion and a second, please.
I'll make the motion. Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. At this time, for the governance committee portion of our IDA meeting, I'd like to open up the floor for public comment. All right, please let the record reflect that there were no comments from the public at this time. Gentlemen, a motion and a second to adjourn the governance committee meeting.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion and second to resume the regular meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Right,
Second.
motion second. All those in favor? Aye. All right. My favorite part now, motion and a second to suspend the regular meeting to go back to the finance committee. Mike, who do I have to talk to at the ABO about this?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right. Finance committee. So are we allowed to just, and she's not here technically, so,
You have an acting chair.
all right. Yeah, the acting chair.
Acting chair. Have a motion and a second to accept Heather Campbell as the chair of the finance committee. Second.
Oh, Richard?
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
I second the motion.
There you go.
Have a motion and a second to accept the minutes.
I make that motion.
Second. Have a motion and a second to accept the finance committee charter.
I so move.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Bless
Aye.
you.
Have a motion and a second to accept the treasurer's report.
I so move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bless you.
I'll now open the floor for public comment for the IDA Finance Committee. Let the records reflect that there is no public comment. I will now ask for a motion to adjourn the Finance Committee meeting. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion and second to resume the regular IDA meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. I want to pause for a minute here to give Lisa a second to catch up. That was, yeah. While you're doing that, Linda, did you get a hold of the Rocket book that I, okay, good. You're welcome.
So now you have to resume with the minutes.
Yeah.
So where you're.
Now
you're
pick
at
back
on
up at the
agenda. Now
minutes
go back
and,
up to the minutes.
and now accept everything that we just did in smaller meetings.
Yes.
That's why I'd love to know who at the ABO I can just say, look for principles of streamlining things.
Right. I think typically you wouldn't do it all at one meeting, but because it's a small.
Yeah.
Well, the ABO's models are all based on everyone following the same set of models. So whether you have a board of 20 people or whether you have a board of
Oh, I
7
know.
people, it's the same set of models. And we try to adapt those when we do your charters and things, but the basic procedures are sort of one size fits all. So, yeah.
So you're saying I have to, one of us has to go into the state legislature to fix this?
That would be one choice. That would be
Got
one
it,
choice.
got it.
I nominate. Oh,
No, God, no. All right, Mr. Hushik, are you caught up?
I am.
Okay,
Thank you for the call.
you're welcome. All right, board, I need a motion and second, please, to accept the minutes of the December 7th and December 14th meetings of 2022 and place them on file.
I'll make that motion.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great. All right, as everybody heard during our finance committee meeting, we had the finance committee accept and approve the treasurer's report. Now I would like the IDA board to have a motion in a second to accept and place the treasurer's report on file.
The second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. In our governance meeting, we accepted the 2023 compliance calendar. I need a motion in a second to accept and place this on file.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And if I could just remind everyone that
Love
you need to meet, remind everyone that you need to meet with Lisa before you walk out the door and make sure you've completed your annual statement, fiduciary duty and so forth.
To that end, in terms of the documentation without names, what percentage complete are we on the?
On the other complaints, the acknowledgement, everybody needs to sign.
No, not that, the other
one
document.
The
Yeah.
evaluation.
The
The trainings
evaluation.
the trainings are complete except for Mr. Martin.
Which we'll take care of, yeah.
He just started, so. we'll
Yeah,
get-
yeah, yeah.
I'll get him on board. Everybody else taking training, evaluations are probably.
Okay, so we'll talk about it later, but we'll make it a goal, to have everything done for you by the next meeting.
Remember, that's like 2 weeks away.
Oh, no, but like everybody getting the forms in and
Yes.
back to you, that's the important part.
That's fine.
Okay. Need a motion in a second to accept the 2022 operations and accomplishments. Place them on file.
Make a motion. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. And a motion in a second to accept the discharge duties of 2022 and place them on file.
I'll make that motion.
Motion, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Okay, now we're going to go through the charters of the 3 committees that we discussed. I know, Jess. Need a motion and a second to accept the audit committee charter and report.
Motion.
Second. Thanks, Martin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion and a second on the finance committee report, which includes adopting the finance committee charter for 2023.
Motion.
Motion,
Second.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Excellent. On the governance committee report, specifically, a motion and a second to accept the governance committee charter for 2023.
Motion.
Motion, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And within that, accepting we've done this previously, the 2022 discharge duties, is that just duplicate? Okay, perfect. All right. I feel like that's all of our housekeeping element. UTEP project agreement. Jess, do you want to turn it over to you to discuss what we updated from our last meeting on the UTEP?
Sure. So there, as a follow-up from the last meeting, it was a lot of formality that we updated, but I'm gonna kick it off to Chris. So I'm
Okay.
gonna- Thank you.
So,
Sure.
right, so continuing the process of updating the agency's documents that are placed on the website so that the public and potential applicants can see what the policies and requirements of the agency are. We have a draft of a revised version of the Uniform Project Agency Agreement. Under General Municipal Law 859A, the board is required to adopt a Uniform Project Agency Agreement. It's so that uniformly the boards require an agreement that describes the project that you're financing, that requires an annually certified statement of jobs and salaries from the folks that you're providing assistance to, specifies the pilot payment so that everybody understands what that is, provides for suspension or discontinuance of assistance in accordance with the policy that the board has adopted, and provide for recapture if that's appropriate in accordance again with the other policies that the board's adopted, and provide for an annual certification from the project owner of the compliance with applicable laws. So what we've done in this revised draft is we've made some edits to bring into compliance with your current policies and current law, and then some other updates. So the labor law was revised last year. So we've now got language that expressly acknowledges that that's a requirement where it's applicable. And of course, in some cases, it won't be applicable unless there's 30% public funds. But we do have a provision for certification of the amount of public funds so that we can acknowledge compliance with those requirements. We have incorporated the placeholder to incorporate the updated annual report that Jessica prepared and that you adopted last year. We have a special project conditions section so that when you're going through your evaluation pursuant to the policy that you adopted last year,
last year.
that we have a placeholder for you to implement specific conditions that you may require of a project based on that review. And we have placeholders for completion deadlines and then just generally other updates. So that's generally what this draft includes.
All right, any questions from the board on the resolution to accept the draft project agreement for our updated UTEP, which again, Chris and Jessica all the lift last year on it. I guess the most succinct way of putting it is digitizing and bringing all of these things into the 21st century. And we greatly
And make them all
appreciate it.
consistent.
Yeah.
Right, so that the language, and Chris is great, is making sure that language that was in the application
Is all
is now
reflected.
carried over into the project agreement, vice versa.
Exactly. Fewer conflicting statements. Thank you. Any questions from the board? All right, may I have a motion and a second to accept the draft project agreement for the UTEP?
Motion.
Second, and a roll call vote, please. Mrs.
Brian
Russo.
Wells,
Aye.
Mel Johnson,
Aye.
Heather Campbell absent, Richard Wallace,
Aye.
Randall Martin. Cheryl Castellica absent, Dominic Moranti.
Aye.
In favor, passed.
Excellent. All right. Status of required board compliance, our favorite topic. Pardon?
You're good this year.
Oh, I know we're good this year. Oh, thank you. So we have the acknowledgement of the fiduciary duty of the board within the packet, which I don't have a page number on that, but I'll just say it's way in the back of the biggest packet. We don't need to do anything on that.
No, I just need it signed and returned.
That's what we're gonna do today. Yeah, so we'll make sure everybody before you leave, well, Lisa's just gonna stand at the door and not let us leave. I think that's pretty much how this works. And Chris is behind her if you think you can get past Lisa, so. So let's make sure that we get that done today. And Lisa, I'll send a note to our absent members to make sure that that gets completed exactly too. Let's see. And the committee and full board evaluations, that's what I was alluding to earlier for 2022.
Yeah.
I'll work with you offline just to make sure that we've gotten all of that. The question that I had for you on that one, because I brought mine in with the wedding signature, can that be digitized as well? So I wonder if maybe moving,
Yeah,
Chris,
I mean-
is that a no? The full
No, I
thing,
was looking at Jessica saying, can you do that? That's.
Oh, yeah, we
Oh,
can do that. I was looking to say, can, we, like,
Oh, yeah.
legally, we can do
yeah,
it. We can
because
absolutely do it.
that's something where I'd almost love to just even put it in a standard Google form where somebody can go through even on their phone. I'm just thinking of ways to expedite that housekeeping element from the
They should be confidential, so.
Yeah.
It should come.
To make sure that you have a way to do that and trigger it so that you can keep track of who's using that.
Yeah.
That it's confidential, that's all.
I mean,
I
is
don't-
it just
I
as
don't
easy too, as if you can make it a PDF that's,
Well, that's,
and then you can just sign it electronically and then email it to,
well, assign it
Lisa.
electronically, and then ultimately, I want to make the back end of it, and I can actually, I've got a system,
Mhm.
software system I can do this with you with, that aggregates it all for her. So ultimately, like, you are not sitting across like 6 people's evaluations and having to put it in, it will do it for you, and you have just one document that for administrative CEC purposes you can put forward.
as long as it can be confidential and then others
Yeah.
don't see it.
Exactly.
They're right, there's the middle.
You just want to aggregate the results and the
Right.
results become public.
Yeah. Is that,
Actually, the results have to go to the ABO.
Right.
Should
Yeah.
be off, So,
Right.
just as long as I can have a form to.
you would be the only person that has
That's
what
fine.
we would call the administrator's view of everything.
If you're thinking through Google Docs.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it can be, the form can be hooked up on the back end to the sheet.
Yeah.
And then it'll
Whatever.
aggregate the map for her, yeah, on like what columns and percentages.
And for the board members, these are confidential because they want you to be candid with your evaluation of the board and provide that. And then you're all then gonna get the results of that and review those and understand what you might want to change about how the board is operating as a result of that evaluation. Okay?
Perfect. So we'll do that. I can
Great.
stay after today a little bit. Now, the last one on the policy discussion, I actually believe I need to flip these, right? We need to adopt the agreement and then the resolution because the resolution dictates the agreement, correct?
The resolution, well, the resolution would authorize the approval of the agreement.
Right, so agreement first.
Well, you can review the agreement, right? And then, but you don't adopt the agreement. The resolution is to adopt.
Okay, perfect. So we don't need to vote on each
No,
separate.
No,
Okay.
But you can review the agreement first if you'd like.
Any questions?
Put it on the.
This is always the fun part. We have to let's publicly grill Mr. Tucker and Ms. Gabriel on everything.
Bring it on.
No. I will say personally, I have no questions. I think your partnership is excellent in everything that we do. So there are no questions from the board. I'll move for a motion and second and a roll call vote on the resolution to adopt the agreement to continue with the CEDC as our administrative arm for 2020.
And just to point out, other than changing the term and the dates, the only thing that we've done is add Jessica as as a point person. And the terms and conditions and fee arrangement are the same as was approved by the board in February. There's no
Correct.
change to that.
I'll make the motion.
Motion. Second. All right, roll call vote, please, Mr. Hushek.
No,
You got it,
just
okay.
steal another one. Ryan Wallace.
Aye.
Paul Johnson.
Aye.
Heather Campbell, absent. Richard Wallace.
Aye.
Randall Martin.
Aye.
Cheryl Gonzalez, absent. Dominic Moranti.
Aye.
Passed.
Thank you very much. We look forward to continuing to work with you all.
All right. Jessica, you're up, my friend. Project updates. Can we start with one where Chris and I met at a very murky source to make sure that we could get paperwork signed? That's my very favorite one.
Where did you meet?
I got off the train to drive back south to meet her so we could get the paperwork signed for the Dock Street update.
Oh, so you met off, like not up here?
No,
You
down,
met
like literally down Germantown. I was like, I'm halfway. We can go and do this.
So, SEC 7 closed on January 4th, I believe.
Yep,
January
yeah.
4th. So that project has, as you're all aware, I'm not sure if you've seen it, construction has been underway. The addition it looks great. It's huge compared to the original building. And so they're anxious to wrap that up and get the jobs created.
I don't know if you can see it, but
Yeah.
it's consistent with what was submitted to the planning board, and you can't see it from the top of the hill, so it fits in nicely.
Is this one similar to the Pocketbook Factory where we could arrange a non-formal meeting, but just to tour the facility and what they're putting up?
We could do.
We can check with them as to where they are in construction to see if it's an appropriate time to go, but yes.
Okay.
I'd be happy to do that.
Any other project updates?
No, we, continue to move forward on the closing with
I just touched base with 708.
708
yesterday,
7th
and they
Street
are
housing.
Working through their lender procedures and will let us know when they're ready to move ahead.
And we have not heard back from the developer with respect to the second project as they're awaiting an award by the state for various projects, and they're hopeful that they'll be
And that,
in that queue.
Mr. Mayor, that funding for all those other projects, this is the whole batch that Michael was talking about last night, in the February's when we get told.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got another, we won't probably know by February, we'll know by March.
And, we continue to be in touch with, the other developers at the Elks Club and other places. We did have some contact from CAS project as it related to a letter of support from CEDC. And we would recommend from the IDA as well for the city's application for Restore New York funding for the CAS project. I guess we should get its official name and start calling it that instead of CAS.
Montgomery Street project.
Right. And we also are moving forward with the Board of Supervisors Housing Task Force, and we introduced Chris Brown, who is going to be working at CEDC to coordinate that for us. The first meeting is on Wednesday of next week, a week from today at 4 o'clock by Zoom. There'll be a link for participants who are on the Affordable Housing Task Force, and there'll be a YouTube link with access to ask questions by the public. It's basically an introductory meeting, and giving each of the task force members an opportunity to identify what their interests are and if they have any immediate suggestions. In addition to the members of the task force, we have 10 people who are on what we're calling the resource committee. And those are people whose day job it is to promote housing, both in the city of Hudson and throughout the county. Michelle Tulo from the city's Housing Justice Office is participating on that, as is a representative from the Board of Realtors, Habitat for Humanity. Supervisor Claire Cousin is representing the Catskill Hudson Housing Coalition. We felt that we needed to have the input and expertise of those whose day job it is to promote housing. But the supervisors were also looking for community leaders from throughout the county to participate as the members of the task force. So we're optimistic as how that will go, particularly in light of the governor's state of the state, which has highlighted housing, although many of the details are yet to be worked out with the legislature as to which programs will be funded. And we're also aware, I guess, of the council passing last night the scattered site approval for the city of Hudson. So, housing remains a very serious issue for affordability, and there's new data out from Cornell that we're attempting to get access to that will show by zip code overburdened cost of housing for residents in an individual area based on the median income of that area. So I think the pattern for progress work they did that was done for Hudson and the county showed over 35% of the residents of the county are spending more than 30% of their income on housing. And when you look at the county level with a $68,000 median household income, and the December median sale price was $388,000, you can easily see the gap that we're working to address. When we realize that 50% of the businesses in the county are service businesses, and service businesses, the wage rate, salary range is at the lower end of the scale.
Yeah.
So if we're going to be able to sustain the economy both in the city and the county, we're joining forces with all of the counties in the Hudson Valley, but and municipalities, but we are going to have to find some solutions. And at the county level, the lack of infrastructure is a big aspect of that, because there are only 6 sewer districts and 1 is in the city of Hudson. So to build more than 2 or 4 or 6 units on a septic, it's not going to be approved.
Right. That it? Anything other than what we know of already that we should anticipate project-wise this year, or and not put either of you on the spot, but I think just in general with the uncertainty in the economic environment right now, do we anticipate any slowdowns for 23? I mean, I would personally wager that
Well, I know
the investment in our area is still high. So
I think to the extent that there may be a slight dip in commercial property and housing costs, you may see people coming in thinking they're getting a bargain and be positioning themselves for a future development. But we are seeing in the county both at the Rojan School and at the housing proposed in Greenport, the developers taking a step back and looking at the interest rates, supply chain delivery and supply chain cost increase from inflation. In Greenport, the developer is looking to move forward on a phased basis
Okay.
to do 50 units at a time instead of 150. And I know that there was an article in the Columbia paper regarding the Rojan School and the town of Copiague attempting to attract developers.
Right.
But there's significant asbestos issues there, as well as a lot of damage from water leakage from the roof that wasn't repaired when the building was first emptied. I think, we still are working to see what possibilities there are for 1 Hudson Avenue, I guess, right? The old garage door site, the 12 acres
Tucked behind Union Street, yeah.
tucked behind Union Street. It's still, the issue is that it's owned by a company in Texas that's owned by a company in Japan. And so it's hard to, and it's probably not even a nit on their balance sheet that they may not even know it exists. So,
Right.
There are several developers who have continued to look at that, but I would suspect that will slow down a bit based on inflationary
To
costs.
my knowledge, this developer was got in contact.
They did get it finally.
Yeah.
Good.
So, there's still a lot of interest. I think the local economy is strong while the state doesn't break out for us the sales tax that's collected in the city. It's up 35% over 2020 in the county. And I think there's a lot of enthusiasm and there's a lot of energy. I still think we have to, we are at 1.9% county unemployment. We still have workforce and education issues that are being worked on both by the college, the school districts, Questar, and the workforce office that the state has out at the college. So I think we continue to have to work on building that infrastructure and providing places for people, providing businesses with a pool of qualified employees who can afford to live in the community.
So, any comments or updates from the board? All right, with that, I'd like to open up the floor for public comments. Please, please identify
Chris
yourself.
Brown, CDC, Fort Lauderdale Coordinator. Ms. Jail, I actually prefer you. This might not matter. When you guys are going through the uniform
UTEP.
project agreement.
Mhm.
So on Schedule F, the project specific conditions, 8+8, I guess it should be 20% project financials. The draft version is it's just I would matter.
Thank you.
First, we need to read on. No, next. Perfect. Well, chill. Get it up. Any other comments from the public? Anybody online? Misty, I know I owe you a phone call.
Just welcome Misty McGee from the Hudson Development Corporation online. And we're getting ready to do all the Paris reporting work.
Oh, yeah.
And so Lisa is aggregating all the information and it's due, March 31st? And I did check while I stepped out of the room. It doesn't appear that either Heather forwarded from the accountants or we received directly an engagement letter. So we'll follow up with Heather on that.
Okay.
And I am here. I just couldn't find the unmute button. So thank you, Ryan, for that shout out. And Mike, I'll see you hopefully soon.
Yes, it's good to see you here.
Yeah, you guys have a very robust meeting going. I have all these notes that I'm taking.
Well, I'm sure your annual meeting will be equally ABO mandated and directed.
I look forward to you having to go in and out of every subcommittee meeting for 45 minutes. So
We'll give you the script. Call us.
Yeah.
I
Thanks,
plan on
Lisa.
it. Thank you.
That's, I was gonna say that, yeah, and the biggest thanks today actually goes to Mrs. Drahusha for what is easily probably well over 100 documents per thing, all of which have compliance rules to follow and everything, and talk about the backbone of keeping us on our game and organized. Thank you very much to you for everything that you do. It doesn't go unnoticed.
Second.
All
Make
right,
a motion to adjourn.
motion,
Second.
second, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you, everybody.
Where's the fiduciary sheet?
Would you have a different one you want to see? Yeah.